Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about red light therapy and infrared. What a great conversation this is going to be today, because what does it make you think about? That is the whole point. Are you curious? Are you just exploring? Are you wondering? Then this is the right place because I have Sebastian here who's going to help us think about this in a whole new way. So, thank you so much for sharing your time and your perspective with me. But let's just dive right in. When you hear those words, red light therapy and infrared, what does that make you think about?
So, thanks for having me on the show. So excited to be here. Yeah, I've been looking into health for probably 2 decades now and looked in many different modalities. And I think overall, what you see as a shift in society is that people used to go only to the doctor and really thought about their health in depth when something was wrong.
Mhm.
And I think more and more through, you know, knowledge being available through social media or the internet in general is that the idea of prevention and longevity and lifespan versus health span becomes a concept that people think of more. How
Yeah.
long will I live, which is important, longevity, but also how long will I live and actually have a quality life? And
Mhm.
and there's a bit of a discord between what medical profession is helping you with and what sort of more the wellness side of things and a healthy life will do. And look, the medical sector has its position, and it's really needed for many things. But I think we gave the whole medical side too much weight and hoped that it could solve all of our issues. And
Yeah.
a doctor gets maximum maybe 20 hours in their 5 to 7 years of study where they learn about nutrition. But nutrition, as we know, has a lot to do with how healthy we are or how good we feel. So
Mhm.
a doctor is just not quite the right person, a medical doctor, to go there and ask about nutrition. They would say that to you. It's just not their gig. That's not what they're focusing on, and that's
Yeah.
fine. And so over time, people have, and especially I found sort of like over the last 15 years, there has become, you call it a trend, but really it's an awareness that there's much more that we ourselves can do to stack the odds in our favor. And when we talk
Yeah.
about red light therapy and infrared saunas and so many other modalities that are out there, we realize that this is stacking the odds in our favor. And the beautiful thing about both of these therapies that we talk about today is that these are quite natural in the sense that and have been around for, well, the sun has been around for a long time, and
Mhm.
red light therapy is two spectrums. It's near infrared and it is red light, which is both part of the sun anyway. And we know that the sun triggers wonderful things in our body. And then when you talk about heat that comes from infrared saunas, there's a tradition in many cultures, like let's say in the Nordic countries, you have the saunas, the more traditional saunas. You have the American Indian sweat lodges. You have the Russian banya, and so on. They are around, and they have been around for, yeah, literally thousands of years, because people know that it helps them feeling alive, but also
Yeah.
actually with certain aches and pains.
Yeah, exactly. And I love how in depth you went. I do, because it really gave people a broader sense of where what this is. You know what I mean? This is natural. This is coming from something that's already a source that's out there, just depending on how you get it, in what way and what you want to call it, and I'm glad that you provided all those different names because it just makes it more real. Like this is natural. This has been happening for years. This is nothing new. This is not a trend. This is not something like Hot Pocket. You know what I mean? This is something that has been
Yeah.
really happening for years. And if this is your first time listening or trying to figure it out, then it just shows that you have that yearning to want to live a better life. You have that yearning that you want to live a long life and you want to have a life that's worth living. Like you said, people don't live anymore. They exist, and they're just there. I mean, they could just be a painting on the wall because at that point that's all they're good for, because they're not participating, they're not involving, they're not enjoying, they're not taking on the chance to feel everything that comes with life. Oh, life is amazing. You know what I mean? And it deserves us for every human being to really step into that. And I also appreciate you talking about how medical doctors, they are knowledgeable in so many ways, but unfortunately they lack this understanding. And I think it just makes it real because there are going to be people that have great knowledge but may lack that understanding. So it's okay for you to go to another source. Okay for you to find those resources to help you live in a in this long form. So, what are some misconceptions about red light therapy and infrared that you may be aware of?
Yeah, so infrared saunas, I mean, like the worst I think that it can get is that people would say, you in infrared saunas that you microwave yourself. And
Oh,
there's nothing in there that creates microwaves even remotely. So if we start with infrared saunas, so infrared saunas have been around for about 50 years now. They were first discovered in a sense in Japan, and over time have been developed. What it basically is like if you think about a glowing stone that
hmm.
comes out of the fire, you cannot it might be quite cold around you, but you can still feel that heat of that glowing stone. And the
Yeah,
reason for that is that wavelengths travel through space, and that's infrared. Infrared is
yeah.
also part of the normal sauna of the normal sun, but overall, an infrared sauna has isolated a particular part of heat, and that heat is not heating up just air around you, it heats up water in particular. So we are mostly made out of water. And the beauty is that as infrared travels through the air, it actually doesn't heat up the air as much, but it only releases its energy when it meets water
Mhm.
or water like materials. So when it comes into our cells, it warms up the body from within. So that's where sort of the microwave sort of misperception comes from, because microwaves do work sort of similar,
Yeah.
but generate a very different wavelengths that you really don't want to have in your body. And just to finish this off, so when you compare that then to traditional saunas, which people often ask, and there are great benefits from traditional saunas as well. Traditional saunas create hot air with hot rocks, and there are a couple of other ways to do that. The difference on the body is that it's outside of us. So it doesn't travel inside of us as much. It's more outside. And when you sweat, there's a bit of a barrier. So the heat is not as readily available to us
Yeah.
to increase our core temperature and a couple of other things I can talk later about. So that's really where the difference comes in. And the beautiful thing for people who don't like really hot temperatures is that infrared works on a way half of the temperature of a traditional sauna because it's more efficient in bringing it into the body. Mm.
Mm, that is interesting. And I didn't know that there were infrared saunas. I only knew of the traditional ones because
Oh, true.
growing up, that's all that I really knew of
Yep.
were those traditional ones. And I didn't like it because I was hot on the outside and
Yep.
it was a weird feeling. And then you had to randomly throw water on these hot, airy rocks. You know what I mean? And it
Is
was
that
just like, I don't know.
intense?
It was, and like you said, like there was this sweat that was just like, wasn't sweaty, but sweaty. You know what I mean? It was just a
Yeah.
weird moment. Like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't like it. So I could only imagine that the infrared one is like, you feel it from the inside out. Just thinking
Mm.
about that, I'm just like, oh, that sounds warm and cozy. That sounds comfortable. You know, that sounds like something that is more reasonable versus those traditional saunas that are just like, not sure about. So I know that those red light therapies, they have it on those masks on for your face. I see it all the time.
Mm.
And but there are people that are saying like, oh, that's the UV that's as bad as tanning. Is that true? Is that a myth?
Yeah, so red light therapy devices, and it's actually true for many, like there's so many modalities out there. It's really about the quality of the product you have. So
Mhm.
there's a lot about infrared saunas that you really need to know if you buy one that is really good for your body, and it's the same as red light. So red light is a really specific spectrum, which is called in nanometers. I might not go into the details of how many nanometers is red light and how much is near infrared, which is part of the red light therapy devices, but it doesn't have UV in it, and for good reasons, because UV would be not great for your skin, and and that has also a place. If you're in the sun, that's all good. That's sort of more natural. But when you actually create a device, you want to focus on the things that make a difference to
Yeah.
your body. So red light. Um, it's basically it's normally LEDs. It can also be delivered with laser, but LEDs is mostly what these devices are made of. We sell a really good product there as well. And what it really does, it only goes into your skin by about 3 millimeters. How much is that an inch?
Don't even
um,
worry about it. We got it.
okay,
We
it's
got
tiny.
it.
You're
Yeah.
right, right. And and this stuff has been around for a long time. Like light treatments were acknowledged in 1903 with a Nobel Prize for treatment of lupus. So it's not something that recently in the 2000s someone sort of came up and said like this would
Yeah.
be a great gimmick. This has been around for a long, long time, and we know that light in general has a profound impact on the body. It's just so hard to get your head around it because it's
Yeah.
not as physical, right? It's just like light and vibrations if you want it, because light is measured in vibration. How
Yeah.
quickly sort of does this wave move? So when you put this on your skin, what really happens is that it penetrates your body ever so slightly and it meets cells. And within the cell, there is something that is called the mitochondria. You don't have to remember that. They're 100 to 1,000 per cell. And they are the powerhouse of your cell. Basically, one definition of aging is that your cell is not able to create enough energy with this mitochondria to keep up the normal energy demand of your body.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, red light has the ability to help the energy production of your cell.
Hmm.
And that's huge because cells are
Yeah.
really needed for everything, right? Cells help, the cells are everywhere and do all sorts of different things in your body.
Yeah.
So by powering them and boosting them up, you get a huge, huge amount of activity back that you might not have otherwise. There are studies that show really clearly that wrinkle reduction is stronger than some of the other treatments that are out there. That hair growth for men is stronger than some of the medications that you can take. There are about 10,000 studies on red light. Like
Wow.
some of them are very in depth, worldwide. People are definitely acknowledging, like even big names like Andrew Huberman or what have you. Like anyone in this field, even medical professors, would say that red light is still totally underrated of how much it can support your cells, your skin, your mood. So there's studies on depression and so on. And the crazy thing is, you don't have to use it for long, like 10 to 30 minutes max is all you have to do, and your body just absorbs it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm so glad that you provided that understanding. And I can relate so much and I can see really how light can make a difference because people who live up north, they tell you to go outside because if we're not outside, it's cold. You know what I mean? We don't
Yeah.
go, and then there's a lot of low vitamin D people up north that deficiency, and they tell you it's because you have to go outside. And my son, when he was born, my youngest, he was actually had that deficiency, so they made him have a light therapy for him to actually
Mhm.
get his cells working and to develop that energy and that natural immunity. I had to keep him under a light therapy for the first week of his life because of that.
Mhm.
And so it just proves what you're saying is really true. And that's the instantly what I thought of as soon as you said that, how it helps and it heals our body in ways that we don't know. And I was like, that's so true because I forgot about my son. You know what I mean? Like it may have happened 2 years ago, but still like it happened and it's real. It could really help in so many different ways. And when you put it in that sense of like wrinkles and you know what I mean, age lines and things like that,
Yeah.
that's also a thing. And not even that, it's just the mood. You know what I mean? It could change your mood. Why do you think people say when they go outside and have fresh sun, they feel different, they feel better? You know, that's that sunny feeling inside out. So people cannot deny that this is reality. And it's just so natural that they have to make it more complex than what it is. You know what I mean? Like we can't allow
Yep.
things to be so simple that
No.
we have to be like, no, it has to be more. It cannot just be this simple. Like, oh, God forbid it's this
I know.
simple.
There are placebo effects of some sort that the same medication is given to someone and they just made the strength really strong, so you only have to take it once a month. And the other one you take twice a day. And the twice a day helps so much more because people actually believe in it more. They're more aware of it too. So, there's this whole placebo side of things as well. But one thing I want to say about sort of more natural therapies like this is that it's not like a pill you take and it's sorted, right? So infrared therapy, for example, is known for helping with arthritis really easily, and it's a really easy concept that I might quickly explain to you. So basically, when you're exposed to infrared wavelengths and therapy, your blood vessels expand. So it's called vessel dilation, and it means that there's more blood flow throughout your body. By the way, you on average burn about 600 calories per hour of using an infrared sauna because of that. It's a passive aerobic exercise. You just sit in the heat. It doesn't have to be particularly hot, and it opens up your blood vessels, and your heart actually has to work more, and therefore you burn more calories. But what also happens, and this is when people come to us and they say they have arthritis, depends a bit on the type. What we normally say is, look, you figure out whether this works for you by just going to one of our showrooms. We have many showrooms or many affiliates where they can go and try it. And overnight, they realize they forget to use their pain medication after they've used an infrared sauna. And it looks like magic, but all it is really is like it widens your blood vessels. And arthritis creates little pain indicators. There are little elements in your blood in that area that basically say, hey, something's wrong, something's wrong. While you use an infrared sauna, it flushes that and many other things out of the system for a certain amount of time, normally 24 to 36 hours. So while that happens, you don't have pain. And my point is this, if you stop using it after 36 hours, you will get the pain back. And that's because it's a therapy that you use constantly. It's a bit like, yes, you can go into the sun once a year, but it will not do you good long term. It's
Exactly.
you have to be in the fresh air, in the sun, grounded in nature and so on a regular basis. And I think this is a really important concept to understand because people get impatient. It's the same as red light. Red light does help you with the growth of your hair, in particular for men, lots of women really, and other things as well. But it won't work if you give it like a week of every day and then not at all. It's really that thing of like it becomes part of your lifestyle and your routine to really
Yeah.
get the most out of it. Yep.
Oh, I love that. And I think it's so real because people forget about consistency. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Consistency is the key for progress, to really see the results. It's just like working out. It's just like eating healthy. It's just like learning a new language. You know what I mean? You could put it in and fill in the blanks in
Yeah.
every way. It's consistency. If you cannot be consistent, then this won't work. You know what I mean? The diet won't work, the pills won't work. You know what I mean? Everything won't work unless you are consistent. So, one thing that I've noticed that I always tell people when they try to come to me and ask me to be their coach, I'm like, I don't know. Can you be consistent? Because I am not one to pull your leg because you will
Yeah.
not like me. You know what I mean? And they have to take that pill. Like, can I really be consistent? Am I
Yes.
disciplined enough? And I think that's where a lot of the times people forget when this red light therapy, I'm glad that you said that you have to make it part of your routine. It's like your nighttime routine. It's your morning routine. You know what I mean? Like, do you brush your teeth every day? If you do, I hope so. You know what I mean? Like, put it on in the morning or put it on at night when you brush your teeth. You know what I mean? Take a shower, whatever you do to provide yourself that love, because I feel like this is another way to really love yourself. You know what I mean? To really say, I care about this body because I only have one body. There's no transplant. Can't take my mind and my heart with and move it to another body. Doesn't work like that yet, or hopefully not. So it's just like we really do have to take that seriously. And I love how it can help with arthritis and help with that pain and help with all these things. And I love your description of the blood cells and it expanding forward. It's because I do, because I think of it's just, I don't know, like I see it, I don't know, I see it in my mind in a way that it just makes sense. Like I can see the flow, you know what I
Mm.
mean? And when you have like a clogged pl like plumbing or something, what are you
Mm-mm.
gonna do? You're gonna clear it out and then it's gonna open and it's gonna be good. But then when it gets cold, oh my God, it's freezing cold out, those pipes can tighten, you know what I mean? You like everything can get shrink up. And it's like that's what happens in our body. And you can't just go out one day, you can't just work out one day, you can't just do that and then expect, oh, this this is a quick fix, and then you waste everything. So yes, it's most definitely something that people really have to think about. If you're trying to do this, then do it for the long run. Because if you're thinking about your lifelong run, why wouldn't you want to do it long run? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you want to add it in? So it's like I have
Yeah.
to ask you, when did you realize that this was a life choice and not no longer a life option?
Yeah, so for me that started quite early. When I was 15, I had my first relationship, if you like, and the person was not in my class. And so when we had to go on a school trip, I went to my doctor and said, "Is there anything we can do so that I don't have to go to the school trip?" And he said, "Oh, look, back in the day it was pretty loose that way." He said, like, let's take your appendix out, sooner or later it has to come out anyway. We do that exactly then and you don't have to go. And so that was pretty bad of me, and I should have known better, but anyway, I did that, and it created complications, and I ended up in emergency a couple of months later, and part of my intestine was taken out. And what that and that was difficult, and I couldn't eat for 2 weeks. I couldn't drink for a week. It was really touch and go. It was a close call. But the great thing about this, and I love Ryan Holiday talking about the obstacle is our way, or the Stoics talk a lot about that, because it really triggered me to start, I guess, feeling my body more to start with. Because if you have an internal wound, or stitches and all of that, you know what you eat, and
Yeah.
what hurts and what doesn't. Not only that, you actually feel how your environment affects you. So when the weather was changing, I knew that. I knew that because if it if the pressure would get higher, the air pressure, it would hurt. If the air pressure would reduce, I would feel like vomiting for almost a year. And so I started to really feel my body and realized and got just more sensitive of what things do to me.
Yeah.
So I drink this and this works. I drink it warm, it's better, it's cold, and so on. It came to the point where I moved away out of Europe, so my German accent might trip you a little bit, but it's not your hearing, it's my accent. I moved to down under, where the health system is a bit different. There are waiting times, and you can't always get the healthcare that you need. And the only option, and it comes back to what I said in the beginning, was really prevention. I thought, if there's something wrong with me, for my life now, since I've had this operation, and I was told, look, this could happen anytime again, which I would disagree by now, but back then I was scared, and it's like, whoa, I don't want to have that again. I was really, really sensitive to I was really aware of what I was doing to my body. And
Hmm.
so I guess mid to late 20s, I started to take prevention really, really yeah, really seriously, because I knew the medical system in New Zealand, where I lived at the time. Now I live in Australia. Um, it wouldn't support emergencies the way that I knew it, and I guess that's where I ended up looking not only into nutrition, although this is how I started. I found that there is so much more to support your body. There is breath work, which is unreal what it does to your body. Really well proven medically as well. It's noticeable after one session, as you probably know, and then you can monitor your sleep. You can use supplements to a certain degree. You can really make sure your mindset is on par with what you want to achieve,
Yeah.
and so on. And I think along the line, and this is where, sorry, this is a bit of a ramble. One thing that I wanted to say, which to me really hits home hard, is when you're young and healthy, you have thousands of dreams and wants and needs. When you're sick and miserable, you only have one focus, and that
Hmm.
is getting healthy. What that means for our society is, like, someone who is sick doesn't have capacity to help others, to care as much for others, and to do
Hmm.
great job in the community. Sure, you can still do it, but just imagine this person would actually not have to deal with constant doctor's visits and
Yeah.
prescriptions and all the rest of it. And so prevention to me became really the way to live, to not end up being not able to really live my fullest potential, I suppose.
Yes, I love that. And I'm sorry that you had to learn it this way. I
It's
love
all
your
right. I think
story.
it's okay.
I'm gonna tell my mom about this.
I know.
I think it's so
Yeah,
cute
yeah,
and
yeah.
funny. But it's real though, because so how many times have people done something that they later on regret, not realizing that it was going to be a blessing in disguise? Because that's what it
That's so
was.
true.
You know what I mean? It was a blessing in disguise. It taught you how to
Yes.
really appreciate your life listen to your body, listen to your heart, listen to your soul, listen to all that you are. You know what I mean? Really get in tune with who you are. It wasn't about what's going on with the world. How can I keep up? No, it was about how you can keep up for yourself and how can you know yourself better, love yourself better, take care of
Yeah.
yourself better. You know what I mean? Like you're the guardian of this vessel, you know what I mean? And you realize like I have to take care of this vessel. And I wish more people can see that because I have met billionaires who have millions and millions of dollars, but they are dying because nothing can help their health. No amount of money can help their health. And despite how many transplants of organs that they can afford, doesn't resolve the fact that their body rejects it. And that's the thing. They rejected their body. They don't listen to their body. They don't understand their body, and they're fighting against their body. And you are got to the point where you're not fighting. You're listening, you're hearing, you're working together. You know what I mean? You said that you could tell when temperature changes. You know, you can tell the weather, you know. You can
Mm-mm-mm.
tell when certain fluids in your body can work or is better to consume by just the temperature. I mean, that right there is that you're creating peace within yourself in a way that you didn't even realize. And I wish more people can see and listen and know that if you just take that moment to just analyze yourself, you know what I mean? Because people are quick
Yeah.
to analyze other people, they're quick to judge other people, but when you're quick to analyze yourself, judge what's going on within yourself, figure out where it's coming from and why, then so much more can come from it. And look what it has, look what you come from. You know what I mean? From the very, you know what I mean? From different sides of the world, making this
Yeah, yeah.
business, this
Small vodka
empire
town.
of yours. You know what I mean? Like you've done something that made you realize like it's not just me, it's other people out there, you know what I mean? And now you're here talking to me and talking to all these other podcasters and events. It just shows that it's more than just your life, it's everyone's life. And I wish more
Mm.
people can see that because it's powerful. It's a powerful message. Oh, Sebastian, I could keep talking to you for hours on end,
Beautiful.
but time is catching up to us. So what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Um, Look, I guess when we talk about infrared saunas, let's think about Socrates, who would say, give me a fever and I cure any ill. And it really comes from heating up your body is comforting, and the particular wavelength that you find in an infrared sauna is womb-like. So I encourage anyone to just f find an infrared sauna center around the corner from you, and give it a go. It's a wonderful experience. And similarly, red light, which is something that we do daily. My wife and I, and my kids, sort of like my 5 kids, get sort of like exposed to
Nice.
them while being they're all little, so they run around it. It's like being the light. And yes, red light is really, really wonderful. But even just get out in the sun, like expose your skin to the sun. It will lift your mood, if nothing else. And that's a good starting point to feel more hopeful and to feel more uplifted, which then means you encourage yourself with that mood to actually, look for something to better your life and to see the life in a more positive way, which is great for your loved ones around yourself and your health. I'll leave it there.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I love it, Sebastian. It's powerful words because,
Yeah.
people can do that research, find the infrared, see where
Yeah.
it's by them because there's probably more than many than what people can even imagine. They just have to do that search and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was all this by me. You know what I mean? Great, great way for people to really think about it.
Yeah.
And yes, just going out and being in the sun. Natural medicine. If you're tight on money and you can't afford all those fancy things, then
Correct.
hey, you can go outside. You can find a way somehow, some way. You know what I mean? There's windows, depending
Good
where
point.
you
Yeah.
are. You know what I mean? I
It
don't know
doesn't have
what
to
your
be perfect.
situation,
Yeah.
exactly. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just something for you to really start thinking about. If you want to know more about Sebastian, you're curious to know all of the great products that he's offered, because I know he shared a few here and there, but all the just greatness that he has to share with the world, just so that you can continue on thinking. Go check him out. I have access to his link in the description in audio or on YouTube. You can click on it and it goes straight there. Oh my goodness, when I tell you he has a great content on his website, he sure does. So go check him out. You do yourself a disjustice by not continue on thinking. So with that being said, always keep thinking.